Hello and welcome to the second episode of the ChatGCC Podcast with me, Richard Askam. I'm delighted to be here today. It's a sunny day here in the UK, so I'm trying very hard to match the weather across the GCC region today. Maybe not the temperature. You'll have noticed that I'm still wearing my winter sweater. But I'm hoping that the sunshine and the warmth that's emanating out of Dubai this morning with my guest will warm us all up. And on that note, please will you welcome to the ChatGCC Podcast my guest for today, Amit Radia. Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Do you know, I'm all right, actually. Thank you for asking. It's been a very busy few weeks. We're obviously in the throes of creating ChatGCC, the podcast particularly, but also the live events that we're looking to do in the middle of April, and more about that later. But it's really great to have you on board as one of the founding members, really, of ChatGCC. And I know you were very keen when we met in January for this group to exist. Tell us a little bit about what you're hoping for from this as a community.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be part of the ChatGCC group. I think what you guys brought over during the FESPA event here was quite exciting, because I think the GCC prior to this has always been I wouldn't say ignored, but they have not got the exposure that they deserve. And the kind of companies that are emanating out of this part of the world is actually quite unreal. I mean, we are advancing in technology so fast. So to me, this will actually, the whole region will benefit from these kind of podcasts, where we'll be able to communicate with other printing presses, not necessarily only printing presses, but tech companies as well. Because as you know, in today's day and age, everything's merging into each other quite rapidly. So yeah, I'm quite excited to be part of this. And apart from obviously giving my 2 bits worth of advice, I'm also learn a little bit.
Well, we like your 2 bits of advice, so thank you for that. And of course, as the CEO and founder of Atlas, you've been at the cutting edge, really, I think, of print, the bleeding edge of technology. It was always known as in the print industry, Amit, for a few years now. Let's be kind, but you will have seen, of course, the development, the technological development, the advancement, and you've very much, I think, kept pace with that certainly in the GCC region, but. What are you seeing now? You come to these shows, you come to these print events, and you learn a little bit more. Do you think it's speeding up? Do you think the rate of technological growth is speeding up?
Yes, so I can very safely say in the region, people are sitting up and taking notice. In fact, I was actually at the Hunkler Innovation Days last week, and obviously there were a lot of print houses who visited that as by invitation, and it was a great event where all the digital printing houses were trying to showcase their new technologies. What I find is that there is a range of different print houses based across the UAE, and it's almost a legacy business where a lot of the large printing presses are run by larger families, which are not necessarily in the printing game per se. For them, it's just a business.
Yep.
Then you got the mid-sized setups like myself, and then you got the very small ones who are obviously growing as well. From my perspective, the senior management are beginning to take note of this, the fact that, okay, for what they understood what digital was and what it has evolved into is 2 totally different things. And you should see at the events like we attended at Hunkler, I mean, people were absolutely stunned with what's possible today. Prior to that, I was at another event with Gelato. We are partnered with Gelato, and they are also focusing on AI. What I find is, as an owner-operator, I've been in the business for a long time, 40-odd years, and it's not just a business to me, it's a passion. So I take a keen interest in this. A lot of the companies don't necessarily move with the times in this part of the world, maybe because of lack of information or perhaps a lack of interest. But more and more so, it is gathering traction here. And it sometimes depends on the middle management to convince the higher management for the larger companies to say, look, guys, we need to do it. Sometimes the bureaucracy doesn't allow it, and it to take a little longer. Companies like my size are able to move much quicker. But if anybody is going to move rapidly, it'll be this part of the world, because we have access to a fantastic range of clients, international companies in the UAE especially, and Saudi. And we can approach these large organizations with what we call problem-solving solutions using new technologies, merged with print, and that is a big advantage for us as opposed to people who are in other less developed countries. So yeah, I think it's doing well.
It's an interesting paradox, isn't it? And my experience of the print industry as a voyeur really over the last 10, 12 years is there's no lack of creative desire within the industry, but in certain places it doesn't map against the consumer demand, which is growing exponentially, and the desire for pretty much everything that you could possibly ever dream of is now possible. And so I guess you made the point there about your ability to adapt, and you're very good at doing that, which is why you're so successful. But I guess the AI piece here in the middle is the bridge from, let's call it, the traditional print world to the technological revolution that is going on in the minds of consumers, who of course are driving the orders that the printers have to produce. So there's a paradox there, isn't there? And this is one of the reasons why we've brought ChatGCC forward at this time, is to try and help those traditional businesses in every department, by the way, not just the print house, but in HR, in recruitment, in finance, every element of your business can benefit from utilizing AI. Do you find that if you were at Lucerne last week, you know what I'm talking about, but there's like half of the world over here going, yeah, no, that'll never happen, and half of the world over here going, it already is.
Yeah, and you know what? AI is almost a scary word right now, because I would say 80% of the population doesn't know what it's possible with AI. So trying to relate AI to your particular business is something what people need to do, but it scares people away so much, and there's so much being bandied about. I mean, you go onto a TikTok today, and there are people talking, every second video is about how we can utilize AI and whatever. And I do a lot of that, by the way. For me, it's an interesting concept, because I'm having to relearn the whole process again. But I mean, relating AI to a print business such as myself, which is a digital production house, I can see AI giving benefits in terms of even design and pre-press automation. It's ability to enable designing made so much simpler just by putting in the parameters. You got the printing process enhancements, which it can help on it if it's connected to the machines. Inventory and supply chain management. I mean, that's another thing. A very important aspect is customer interaction and sales, because that AI makes it so much easier. So, and yet people get worried, our salesmen got to be made redundant. No, they're not. You still have to go and close the deal, but this will be the opening door for you to, rather than sending out 1,000 emails, which you're typing out, AI does it so much more efficiently, generates images, generates content. I've been studying this and saying that, you can actually tailor make each and every, you put in the prompts on, not on necessarily ChatGPT. I mean, today I know DeepSeek is not very popular because of what it's done, but it's an amazing tool. And, you ask it any question, it's like your buddy helping you out. AI can also help in sustainability initiatives. It tells you how to make sure that you don't what kind of the materials are worth looking into. We do know most of them, but it does give you so much more information. Now, how you utilize that information, whether it be in terms of marketing and analytics, or improving the customer experience, or even the sustainability initiatives, this is where one needs to focus on and say, how does this relate to me? There's too much coming out at this stage. I suspect it's probably going to take another couple of years before people come to terms with it and say AI is here to stay.
You're listening to the ChatGCC Podcast with me, Richard Askam. Currently not sponsored, but there is an opportunity there if you'd like to get in touch. And that's always the way, isn't it, with any new technology? And I can remember the start of the internet. Amit, I am that old. But I remember the same fears. They were the same fears when we moved from steam to electricity. So through the ages, at the change point of any technological advance, horses to cars, wherever you want to put your reference point, there is always that uncertainty as to what that change is going to mean, right up until the point that it becomes part of your normal life, and then you wonder what you were ever worried about. So, and it was quite interesting in the first episode that we recorded last week, we were talking about the aggregation of marginal gains, but in actual fact we realized that those gains were quite fundamental, and you touched on it there, that AI is a tool. It's part of a toolkit. People are part of that toolkit in the same way that tools are part of that toolkit. But what it can do is, first and foremost, save you time. And as we all know, time is money. So from a purely business perspective, where you sit at the top of your organization as CEO, looking down on every department and every element of your company, you can see how AI can save you money.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in fact, I have now, in the process of dedicating a small team to work specifically on this and getting to grips with this, because I can do so much as a CEO and try and guide them. But at the end of the day, you do need somebody at an operational level to push through these, be it in whatever initiatives you're taking, whether it's on production, sales, whatever. But it's not difficult. It's not rocket science. You see, what I've understood is that there are processes of using agents, what kind of agents to use. In AI, agents are important. I'd never heard of this. I always thought it was a secret agent, but now I've just figured it out. And then you've got the local language, whatever. I mean, and incredibly, TikTok there are so many people out there, influencers, who are trying to educate the world. Unless you take a keen interest, you can't. So you need to literally you can't have your day-to-day guys trying to understand AI while they're running around from pillar to post. No. You need to have a couple of people, you don't need a huge team, who then take an in-depth look at what are we doing, where are our pain points, and how do we improve on that, and how does AI affect us on that. That's exactly. And start slowly. Every little gain you make, it may take you a year, 2 years, but like you rightly said earlier on, within 2 years, you'll wonder, how did I ever function without this?
Exactly. And, you've only got to look at the smartphone, haven't you, which is less than 20 years into its design, and yet it has now become, it's almost part of our anatomy, in that regard. One of the things, and I know you were present at the AI lab that we started in January at the FESPA Middle East event. And the success of that, it was stacked out. We've never had so many people trying to get into a small space, and it gave us the sort of notion to create ChatGCC and to create some live events. So we're going to be bringing the AI lab back to Dubai in April, doing 4 events across the city on a couple of days in the middle of April. And I think you just made the point as to who needs to attend, because this isn't necessarily a would you like to buy some AI? Yes, here you go. We start at the very soft educational part of this and the understanding. We've got 2 brilliant experts that delivered the lab in January, going to be there to help businesses understand, first and foremost, what it is. Because we're not very good as human beings at changing our habits until we understand why we need to. But once we understand that, we're very good at it. That's how we've survived as a species for this long. Do you think in that regard then, certainly from your business perspective, this is more of a C-suite opportunity, this is more of a senior management opportunity to come, understand, and then take that back to their businesses to help them improve? Is that the way you see these events working the best?
Yeah, it has to stem from the senior management, obviously, because again, it's not like you're buying a piece of capital equipment which is going to cost you a lot of money. Simply put, AI doesn't cost a lot to implement. It just means you've got to get the right tools and agents into place. If there is how can I put it, an interest in developing AI, it has to come from the senior management. It goes down to the middle management. They're the ones who are to operate it, and then the guys who end up enjoying the benefits will obviously be the day-to-day operational people. Yeah. So, I think to get into AI, you will need to have some form of structure. The company will have to form. It's not a side business. It's not something you can learn in the thing. You need to have a dedicated team who go from department to department to department. They have to have the basic knowledge of all the softwares and what's available out on the market, and then just applying it. And it really isn't that expensive. That's what I'm saying. It is the beauty about it. Today you can create your own programs utilizing so many softwares that are available free. So, it has to stem from the top, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's about exploding some of those myths as well, isn't it? Really, because unfortunately, when anything new comes along, the first thing that happens is the media, God bless them, tell you what the worst thing that can happen is, and everybody runs around with their pants on fire, thinking, "Oh my word, AI is going to steal my job." So we're going to start these events by exploding all of the myths. And once you get to a sensible level ground, then you can move forward from there. Yeah. And I think that's hugely important in any business, not just print, but we're talking about doing this for recruitment businesses, for real estate businesses, for travel and tourism businesses. Everybody has largely the same opportunity to gain from a new tool that has come into our world in a relatively short space of time. Although it's been around since the 50s, it's only, as artificial intelligence as a construct, it's only in the last couple of years that it's become available to everybody to use as a tool, and as you say, in most cases for free.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot has to do issues that arise is that the people get overwhelmed by the jargon that's going around. There's so many different things that they don't know. They get absolutely. I mean, if you believe it or not, I'm actually following one of the influencers who's actually teaching people over 55 about AI in a much more simplistic term, as opposed to teaching a millennial who has probably got a lot more knowledge than.
I like that. Yeah,
there are people, influencers, who work on this, and it gives you a comfort level as well when you're talking to somebody who's an older level who says, if he can do it, surely it can't be that bad.
Yeah.
So it involves designing a system. It involves putting into place processes that will take actions to achieve specific goals. Okay. You have to define, AI agents are what you necessarily use, but you have to define your purpose, and from there you go forth. So it's a very gradual, step-by-step process, which initially feels quite scary.
Yep.
And once you've chosen the type of AI agent you want to use, the type of language you want to use, the everything else falls into place quite easily.
It's a really good idea. I like that. Let's call it 50 plus, just to be kind to both of us. At the rate that we learn, because let's be honest. Most senior managers of a business are of an age, and most of their employees and workforce are an awful lot younger. So there's a gap between their knowledge and also their ability, not ability to learn, but the way that they learn. So in the same way that we teach children in different ways, we should teach adults in different ways. And I think that's one of the great things about ChatGCC is we are open to all, to have this open and honest discussion. We're setting up a forum as well, Amit, on WhatsApp, so that people who join ChatGCC can just ask peer-to-peer support questions and learn from any age group and any gender and any direction. This is all about us all, and I mean all and everybody, learning more so we can move quicker. And that's the founding principle of ChatGCC.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea, because when you're on a podcast and you have the ability to ask something without feeling that you might look stupid, no question is stupid enough, because it is a learning curve for everybody.
Absolutely.
It just depends on that. You do have a bit of research, but there is so much out there. And I feel, I'm very excited with this, I'll be honest, because I see myself in 3 to 5 years, I think our business model will have changed dramatically.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Right, listen, before we go, I've got some quick fire questions to ask you, because you are one of our first guests, and we're going to start to we're going to profile you a little bit, Amit, by the answers that you give me to the following questions. So don't think about it, just give me the answer, okay? Quick fire, quick answer. What's your favorite food?
Thai.
What's your best hobby that you enjoy the most?
Golf.
What can't you live without?
My family.
Tell us a fun fact about you that only a few people know.
I'm renowned to be a very sarcastic person with a sense of humor not everybody understands.
What is your dream holiday location?
Dream holiday location would be Maldives, I think. Yeah, love Maldives.
Okay, that kind of answers my next question. Beach or mountain?
A bit of both, but yes, I do like, we're lucky to be by the sea, so yeah, a bit of both, but I do enjoy trekking as well.
Okay, and on most weekends, where would we find you?
At the golf club.
There's a theme running here about golf, which I did know before, by the way, listeners, so I'm not surprised by that. And the final question, Amit, for today is, what's your most significant achievement in the last 2 years?
I would say the fact that I've completely turned the company around from what it was pre-COVID to what it is today. I'm very proud of that fact, and we are back on track. And yes, I would classify that as one of my biggest achievements.
Brilliant. I would agree with that completely. And you're going to be joining us, hopefully, as a speaker at one of the AI Lab events in April. We've got to tie those diaries together, but we're looking around about April the 15th, 16th in Dubai, at various venues across the city. It would be great to see you again. It was lovely to meet you in person in January when I was out there. I'm looking forward to coming wearing a slightly thinner sweater. I understand sweaters are all the rage in Dubai, so
it's quite chilly here. It's almost 22 degrees right now.
Okay, right. I'm going to stop talking to you now. But listen, Amit, CEO and founder of Atlas Print and Packaging, thank you so much for your time today. It's really great to have you on board as a member of ChatGCC. And I hope anybody that's listening or watching this, wherever you are in the world, please do look. The details are below underneath here somewhere of how you can come and join us at the events, but also more importantly, how you can join us on ChatGCC. And you can hear what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it easy for everybody. So please do come along and join us. Amit, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Elizabeth.
My name is Richard Askam. I've been your host today, and we look forward to seeing you somewhere soon. Thank you very much.